Aries includes a highly intuitive and powerful manual routing system. Routes are placed by selecting track mode, and then the required layer, and then by consecutively left-clicking of the mouse. Let's assume that we want to place a trace from U3 pin 3 to C26 pin 1. We would first left-click on the pad where we wish to start. Aries will start to give us a trace that is going to follow the mouse pointer as we move towards the target pad. If we back the mouse pointer up, it will erase the trace and give us the option to select a new path. However, if we go ahead and select this path, when we get to the target pad, we left-click the mouse and the trace is now in place. If you want a particular topology for a track, you can place anchor points to guide the placement by left-clicking the mouse at points where you want to change direction. You do this so that the area of the track becomes solid before the anchor point, indicating that it is fixed in place. If, as an example, we decided that this trace was not in the optimum position, we could either locally edit it, or we could simply delete it and start to redefine our trace. By left-clicking the mouse, we can now define exactly where we would like the trace to go, and yet still be design rule aware. We've now reached our destination pad. However, if we decided that we wanted to change our mind, we could simply back up, and it would erase the trace and give us the option to place the trace in some new path. If you double-click the mouse, Aries will place a via and switch layers automatically so that you can continue routing. The placement of the via is design rules aware, and Aries will stop you from placing a via in an illegal position. To demonstrate this, let's assume we want to run a trace from J10 pin 1 up to pad 3. We'll go ahead and select the bottom copper and start to lay our trace out of pin 1. As you can see at this point, we are now blocked by the rest of the traces on the bottom copper layer. We'd go ahead and double-click the mouse in order to get a via, and now we've switched into the top copper layer. We can now move towards pad 3, click it left, and our trace is now in place. Hitting the spacebar will float a via at the end of the track being placed. This will then allow you to move and position the via as close as possible and still obey all of the design rules. A left click will drop the floating via and you can continue routing on the associated layer. Once again, let's assume that we're going to place a trace from J10 pin 1 up to pad 3. However, in this time we're going to start on the top copper layer. We'll start from pin 1 and then we'll hit the spacebar to get a via at the end of our trace. It is now design rule aware and will not allow us to place that via in an illegal position. However, we can place it as close as we want to the other tracks. We go ahead and double click it, we switch to the other layer, and we can now continue routing all the way up to our target pad. You may also have noticed that each time we placed a via, the power plane, which is on an internal layer, automatically gave us space for the particular via that we were placing. Layer pairs are selected by the Layer Pairs dialog on the Technology menu, and the via style used when routing is defined in the Design Rules Manager.